Here is a diagram of a human heart. The labels have been removed, and it would be good for you to think about being able to draw this yourself and to incorporate all the labels. I want to use this to talk about why the heart makes the sounds it does. The beating heart makes a sound, and it's often been referred to as Lub-Dub. Lub-Dub is the beep 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 that we hear when we listen to the sounds of the heart. The first sound, lub, has to do with the closing of several valves. The dub also has to do with closing of several valves. What this means is that here in blue is the right atrium, RA, and blood flow from the right atrium to the right ventricle, RV, shown here with the red arrow, goes through a valve, and that valve, here shown in green, that valve is called the tricuspid valve. Tricuspid. Often it's just called the T valve. In addition, blood also flows from the left ventricle, the left atrium, into the left ventricle, LA and LV, on this diagram, through another valve. That valve is called the mitral valve, or M. When the tricuspid valve and the mitral valve close, that is the lub sound that you hear. When the tricuspid valve and the mitral valve are closed, the two other valves of the heart, here shown in yellow, the first one I've pointed out here is called the pulmonary valve, or P. The second valve, here shown in yellow, is called the aortic valve, or the A. When the tricuspid and the mitral valves close, that's the time when the pulmonary valves and the aortic valves open. The lub that you hear is the closing of the valves. Similarly, when the pulmonary and the aortic valves close, that's when you hear dub, and what that means is that the tricuspid and the mitral valves are open. The closing of the valves is what creates the sounds that we hear, the lub and the dub. The movement of blood through the heart goes from the right atrium to the right ventricle, step number 1. From the right ventricle to the lungs, okay, I'm going to do that in blue. That's step 2. It comes back from the lungs into the left atrium, Let's see, I need another color. Oh, I get another color. Okay, I got another color. So the blood coming back from the lungs into the left atrium is step number 3. And step number 4, let me get another color. How about we use orange? Step number 4 is when the blood goes from the left atrium to the left ventricle. Where does blood go from the left ventricle? It goes out through the aortic valve, out to all the parts of your body. So once again, if we take a look at this and we look at the valves of the heart, what you really want to think about is when our 2 valves that are between the atrium and the ventricles. So on the left hand side here, let's just draw these in green. So this is the tricuspid valve. When the tricuspid valve, and then here on the right hand side, this is the mitral valve, the T and the M. When they are open, the valves that go from the right ventricle and from the left ventricle to the lung and the rest of the body. So the 2 valves are the pulmonary and the aortic. Those valves are closed. Blood moves from the left atria, okay, into the left ventricle, and also from the right atrium into the left atrium into the left ventricle. Do I have these backwards? So this should be right atrium, oh, wrong color. Right atrium and right ventricle are on the left, and they're blue, and the left atrium and the left ventricle are on the right, and they're pink. Why do you think they're pink and blue? It has to do with the oxygen state of the blood. On the right side, the right atrium and the right ventricle, so the right atrium and the right ventricle, oxygen poor blood, meaning that there's not much oxygen, and that's why the blood is being pumped to the lungs, right? On the left-hand side, on the left atrium and the left ventricle, you have pink blood. Nice pink blood means that it's oxygen rich. And that's because it's come back from the lungs and now it's being shipped out to the rest of your body. Similarly, when the tricuspid valve is closed, all right, so the tricuspid valve is closed, the mitral valve is closed. That means that's the time when the pulmonary valve, the P valve, and I'm not drawing it very well, the A valve open, allowing blood to get pumped from the ventricles, so from the right ventricle and from the left ventricle. From the right ventricle it's going to go to the lungs, and from the left ventricle it's going out through the aorta out to the rest of the body. So you always have two valves open and two valves closed. The closing of the valves is what makes the sound Lub-Dub. If I were to ask you to draw a simplified version of the heart, you could very simply make it into 4 squares. Right? There's clearly a separation between the left side and the right side, and the right side, okay, I know these seem backwards, but it's based on what's in your body. The right side, all right, starts with the right atrium. There's a valve that goes from the right atrium to the right ventricle. That valve is called the tricuspid valve. All right. On the other side, you have the left atrium with a valve that goes to the left ventricle. That valve is called the mitral valve. All right. The big thing here is that when the blood moves out of the ventricles, okay, so there's a valve leaving from the right ventricle and there's a valve leaving from the left ventricle. From the right ventricle, we know that that valve is called the pulmonary valve, and that means it's going to the lungs. The valve that goes from the left ventricle out is called the aortic, and that means that the blood is going through the aorta out to the rest of the body. All right? Well, how does it get back in? It gets back in, all right? So out in the body, it comes back through the right atrium, all right? And here in the lungs, it comes back in through the left atrium. So there's vessels that dump directly into the right atrium and to the left atrium. It's a closed system, meaning that, right, if you cut any one of these lines, you could bleed out. Bleeding out causes your heart to stop beating. Your heart stopped beating means you're no longer alive. Pretty simple, eh?